Our pal Matt Streb, a political science professor and faculty athletic rep at Northern Illinois University, is on the line with us, as he is every Wednesday. Matt, good morning to you.
Hey, Riley, what's going on?
Sorry about
Donnie. It's okay.
Yeah, sorry about Donnie's pettiness. You know, that Ball State blood runs thicker than water.
Yeah, I don't blame him. If I was in his shoes and I was getting ready to put a Purdue grad on, I can tell you I certainly wouldn't be playing a Purdue fight. So, I understand. I can relate.
So what's the current state? We always like to put our thumb on the pulse of NIU athletics, and there's nobody better to ask about this than you.
Yeah, well, hey, first of all, we got a huge volleyball match, two of them this weekend at Victory Court, which is a great venue to watch a volleyball match. I don't know if your listeners have ever been down to watch it. It's in the Convocation Center. It's kind of an auxiliary gym, but it gets loud in there. And the girls are 4-0 right now in conference play, so that's huge. And, of course, we're happy with the win last week in football and, get us back on the right track here. Got a big game coming up this weekend in Kalamazoo against Western Michigan, who's nationally ranked right now. And certainly P.J. Fleck, one of our alums, has done a great job up there with that program. So every time we play Western, it's always an interesting battle. It's always been a close game. And, we'll see what happens. But, I think the team played much better last week. There was certainly a lot of areas, if Coach Carey was talking to you right now, there's still a bunch of areas that he would say we got to clean up, turn the ball over a little bit too much, didn't score in the red zone quite as much as we need to. But, I think a lot of positives that came out of that game.
Outstanding. So, Husky fans, don't dig the team from afar. Get yourself in the car, get on down and catch a few games. Give this team some support, and all the other NIU athletics and college volleyball being played by people who know what they're doing is really, really exciting to watch as well.
Right, it's so funny to me because I love watching volleyball. I know nothing about volleyball. I just love watching it. I see our coach all the time. I mean, to me, it just looks like a bunch of people out there just hitting the heck out of the ball, right? And what is amazing is there is so much strategy that goes on in the volleyball match that I just have no clue about. I mean, it kind of feels like I know how my wife must feel watching a baseball game now, right? I mean, I had one of the girls in talking to me the other day. She said, well, I switched positions. And she said, I went from an outside back to a middle back, and that changes what and she went on for about 5 minutes, and I just finally said, Anna, I don't understand a single word you just said.
Right.
But I tell you, I love watching the game. There's so much action. It just really is a fun thing to do. And, the one thing I'll say about volleyball, too, is the FIR, I learn more and more about each individual sports culture, and I really like the culture of volleyball. I mean, the kids just out there, they're having a lot of fun. They're not to say they're not taking it serious. They certainly are. They really have a lot of fun and just really enjoy each other. It's a lot of fun to watch, and we've got a great ball club. So, yeah, I mean, anybody who wants to come on down, it's a fairly cheap ticket and a great chance to come out and watch a little college volleyball.
There you go, and we highly recommend that. Now, shifting gears a little bit, I understand there was a VP debate last night. In the big pantheon of things that matter, does a VP debate matter?
So here's I'd love to talk to you, get your take on what you thought of the actual debate. But yeah, here's the lead, Riley. Everything that we're going to talk about is not going to matter because the VP debate doesn't matter. I don't think what happened last night was. I think that you can make arguments that Kane and Pence both did what they needed to do. There was no kind of game. We talk about game-changing moments all the time. There were no game-changing moments. There were no major gaffes that came out of it. For the most part, I think, as I think I tweeted last night, the election is no different, than it was 93 minutes ago, right before the debate started. I think that vice presidential debates don't matter in the grand scheme of things, and I think there was some interest, I think, to see how would Pence try to respond to, would he defend Trump, all that type of thing. I think, most people will move on from this and get ready for Sunday, and that one could matter an awful lot. I think there's a lot of pressure on Donald Trump to perform well.
Well, we talked a little bit about the Lloyd Benson-Dan Quayle debate, where Benson, thanks to Quayle's stupidity in setting him up for it, got off one of the more famous debate lines of all time. And wow, he sure leveled that kid. Boy, he sure taught that kid a lesson. Well, come election day, pack your stuff, Lloyd, and go on home.
Didn't matter.
Nope.
It's funny you mentioned that, Ron. I literally just mentioned that to my class yesterday, before the debate. And yeah, I mean, there's questions about whether presidential debates matter a whole heck of a lot. Okay, there's almost no evidence that vice presidential debates matter. And I mean, it was a weird debate in some ways last night. The flow of it seemed kind of strange to me.
Yep.
I will say, I think that the first 10 minutes of the debate, I'm not sure that I've seen a worse performance than, with the exception of maybe James Stockdale in 1992, from a presidential or vice presidential candidate than Kane started off. I thought he was horrible out of the gate. He was far too aggressive. It looked like he was prepped, he was prepared, and they told him, and you have to get all this stuff out in the first 10 minutes of the debate. And so just talk over everybody, and he came across horribly. I thought he settled down a little bit better as the debate went on. Pence, I thought, was Pence. I mean, he was kind of cool in terms of, he was relaxed. He's used to this. He's obviously a former radio host, and that type of thing. He wasn't going to be, he was fairly unflappable. The criticism, of course, is that he did let most of Kane's attacks go unfounded, and I think he had to be careful because he was walking a fine line where he was saying, well, he never said that. In today's day and age, it's pretty clear, especially with the amount of press that's been out there about this election. Many of the things that Kane was saying that Trump said, he has indeed said. Now, some of the things he didn't say quite exactly right, but there were a whole host of things that Pence didn't respond to. And I thought what was more interesting was the response, publicly from the Trump campaign, that they were very happy with the debate performance. Privately, though, what I'm reading in certain outlets is that Trump wasn't so happy with it because he was upset that Pence didn't defend him more. So I thought that was kind of an interesting dynamic that was going on last night.
Yeah, I've been reading that very same thing that, Mike Pence won the debate, but he didn't win it with Trump, you're hearing people say. Now, I haven't seen Trump himself tweet anything to that effect, but,
right.
And
he's not going to. I mean,
no, that would be foolish.
Even Donald Trump won't do that, right?
Well, and I'm sure people have been burned before in saying that exact same phrase. Oh, even Trump wouldn't do that. Well, he might.
That's very true. Yeah.
You don't really know, but gosh, you're right. That first few minutes reminded me of people in our business. There's times that you'll sit down here at 5 o'clock in the morning, and you got some stuff sitting in front of you that you're really looking forward to talking about later on or introducing. And the rookie mistake is to blow it all out, and you're done by 5:20.
Yeah,
because you wanted to get right to it, and because it was so much fun, and you got it all, and now it's all gone, and you kind of ate dessert first, and it was kind of like Kane, like you were saying, they gave him the laundry list of stuff to hit, they just didn't tell him to space it out.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, just sit back, relax, wait. Right, you had 90 minutes. You were going to have time to make the points that you wanted to make. You didn't need to talk over Pence, and the thing about it too is it becomes that much more. Obvious when Kane is constantly talking over Pence, and Pence is pretty laid back. He's not, like I said, he is pretty inflammable, right? And so I think, that Kane's on style, I think Pence, clearly won the debate. On substance, I think that's debatable. But, everybody has different views of this, right? I mean, I was watching my Twitter feed yesterday, and a lot of people were saying, boy, Pence looks calm, cool, and collected. And some other people took calm, cool, and collected as being arrogant, and so obviously, everybody views things a little bit differently. They view it through their own lens.
Oh, absolutely.
But at the end of the day, I'm not sure that a whole lot has changed. I've heard people talk about maybe the only thing that's changed is that was Mike Pence's coming out party for 2020. But you always hear people talk about that in vice presidential debates, and I'm not sure that's what Mike Pence was actually doing.
Yeah, I think the only guy you've never heard that about it was a guy you mentioned earlier, which was James Stockdale.
Yeah.
Yeah,
correct.
There was no coming out party there when a guy says, I don't even really know what I'm doing here.
Yeah, who am I? Why am I here?
Yeah, who am I? Why am I here? It was one of those, I laughed when he said it, but at the same time, I kind of felt bad for him.
Riley, I can't believe you said that because I had the exact feeling. I mean, I really just felt like, yeah, I felt horrible for the man. And you can see, obviously you're sitting there and Quayle and Gore are just, you can tell they felt sorry for the man too. So they just ignored him the rest of the night. I mean, it was a very bizarre debate, no doubt about that. Yeah, I mean, vice presidential debates do get some, obviously Sarah Palin's debate had a record audience, right? I mean, there was a lot of anticipation about that. Even that ended up having no real impact on the outcome of the election. And, last night I think was not nearly as much excitement about it, certainly not nearly as much excitement or anticipation as there was for the first presidential debate. And, we'll see. It comes, it goes. I'm not sure that it really has, moves the needle all that much. I will say that Donald Trump does need the bleeding to stop, though. I was just looking at 538 before we got on this morning, and right now Hillary Clinton has a 75% chance of winning. And if you look, I think even more importantly, if you go in and you look at the states, if you look at states where she's got 270 votes, right now she won every state where she's got at least a 75% chance of winning or greater. That would get her to 273, which would put her over the 270. So Trump has a lot of work to do, and that wouldn't even give her Nevada. It wouldn't give her Ohio. It wouldn't give her Iowa. It wouldn't give her North Carolina. It wouldn't give her Florida, all states that are still in play. And so, I've mentioned this to you before. Everybody talks about Florida. They talk about Ohio. The election will be decided based on Pennsylvania. I really, really believe that. If Trump, can't win in Florida, North Carolina, Ohio, he doesn't win. But he's got to get Pennsylvania as well, and that's her firewall. And right now, at least as of today, the polls are holding pretty steady for her.
Now, before we let you go, telegraph for us maybe the next couple of weeks. What can we potentially be looking for? Like you said, you got to stop the bleeding. What moves are we going to see each one of these two make in the next couple of weeks?
Well, I think the town hall debate is going to be very interesting. I mean, we talked last week about, in some ways this could be a good setting for Trump, but he doesn't have a lot of experience in it. Clinton has far more experience. And the thing that I would be really nervous about is of course, I was a Trump campaign strategist, is, holy cow, please don't lay into a question given by somebody in the audience, right? I mean, that will come off very, very poorly. And so, the question is, will Trump change? There are very few people out there that argue that he, doesn't need to change. I was watching CNN last night. The two Trump supporters that, Jeffrey Lord or whatever his name is, and I can't remember Kaylee, whatever her other name is. I can't remember their names, but they were adamant that no, he doesn't need to change it all. If he doesn't change it, I mean, in the week we've had here, he's gone from roughly even with Clinton, right, on the odds of winning to her up 75-25. So I think that was mostly because of the performance in the debate and what he did afterwards. So I think he's got to kind of pivot again. We keep talking about this with Donald Trump, but he's got to go back. I think it's got to be a much more. He's got to take a page from Mike Pence, not let Clinton get under his skin. And if anything, just do what Pence did and ignore it, right? I mean, it's not the best strategy in some ways, but for Trump, I think in many ways it is. You just kind of, okay, she levels a shot at you. You just ignore it. I'm not sure Donald Trump can do that, though. So we'll have to wait and see what happens.
Yeah, will be interesting to see if maybe Mike Pence has set a new template that people will follow. People meaning his running mate. We'll have to. Well, we only have a few days to wait before we find out. Matt,
absolutely.
As always, I appreciate the time, appreciate the expertise. We'll look forward to talking to you next week.
Hey, Riley, have a great one. Go Huskies.
There we go. There's Matt Streb, political science professor and faculty athletic rep at Northern Illinois University.